And we are back.
Hello.
Hello, Ricardo. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Sally. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm really excited. We had some great feedback and we had more people watching than we hoped there would be. It was really nice. And today we are back to give you a brief overview of what we were doing is Fullstack for Noobs is a series that we are just sitting down and taking an idea into a full stack application. Last episode, we were focusing on how to get that idea into a more structured way. And then we put everything that we have in place. We talked about what are essentials for our product and how we can move forward. And for that side, I will hand it over to Ricardo so he can take us through everything and what we have right now.
Yeah. So I think, it was a good summary. I think it's really important actually in this new age of agentic AI and AI coding assistance that we do focus on the intent, right? What are we building before we start building it, right? So that we get ourselves in the mindset. I think, so what we did is we covered actually what we're building. We dove actually into some detail, didn't we? We actually looked at quite hard actually what the things we really need, what were critical, what were important. And then we started to map out some of what this might look like. And what we've done since Tuesday is because obviously before this is what we had, the scribbles on the notepad, right? And so obviously it's very difficult to follow along. So what we've done is we've tidied it up a little bit and made it easier for everyone to follow. So this is in a nutshell, what we are planning to build over the next few episodes using Kiro. And so basically it's a game for those people who weren't here on the first episode. This game's got specific characteristics. And so we dove into actually what's important, what's not less important. And then we scribbled out like a kind of architecture as well. And this is the kind of very
That doesn't
basic.
look overwhelming at all.
No, it's like from that one discussion, right? But I think it does make you realize how important that initial taking a step back and having a deep think about what it is you're trying to build and then trying to flesh it out is super important, right? Because one of the things we've learned over the last year is that as good as AI coding assistants are, throwing all of this at them is probably going to lead to suboptimal output. But this now gives us a nice kind of bunch of boxes that we can start to tackle, right?
Yeah, exactly. It might look a lot, but if I'm being honest, I think it also showcases. Sorry, I think we have to understand that a lot of these approaches, these boxes are related to each other. So once we tackle one big approach, which is, let's say, start and end game, for it to work properly, we need to have the QA engine, then we need to touch the admin and so on. And it is actually a lot of pieces touching each other. So it will be easier for us to implement these as we move forward. But it was very important, or it is always really important to sit down and write down what you want to build on. You cannot just go and say, hey, I want to build this thing, how to do it, and let this decision to, for example, in this case, AI, and say that I want to have a gaming engine and let's build this thing. And at the end, it can only do tic tac toe and nothing more. So
Yeah,
that would be a big problem.
yeah, exactly. And so I guess that's where we're at. Okay, so the end of the last episode was really converting effectively like this scribble into effectively something that we can actually now start to build on from prompts or start to focus on from the point of view of steering documents, and then something that we can all have a shared understanding from the point of view of actually what we're building. So I think that's where we're at. So I guess the next step really is actually what next? How do we tackle this, right? How do we tackle all those boxes? From the point of view of Fullstack for Noobs, right? If you're a student watching or if you just started out in software development, Sally, how would you tackle this?
From my point of view, right now we have everything that we want to build. And there are multiple ways to do it. And different developers always, like backend developers wants to do backend first, frontend
Yes,
developers always wants to do.
exactly. And I'm going to put my hand up there. As you can see, most of those boxes, right? The
Yeah.
details are all in the back end because that's the thing I know, right?
Yeah. Like from my side, I go with the opposite way because once we build the front end, I believe that we will see what data we will need and in which format as well. Because sometimes those boxes needs to be combined into a bigger box and come to the front end. And if you do them differently on the front end and do the operation on the front end side, it might be more expensive, and you
Okay.
want your front-end experience to be flawless, while backend is already strong. It has the resources, especially when you think from the serverless perspective, you already have as much compute power as you need. So you can just take that in. And at the end of the day, we are not running billions of token AI on our compute systems and so on. We are building actually a service.
It sounds good to me. Let's do, so we're gonna go front end first then.
Exactly. That's what I try to convince you about. So I will open our
So
favorites.
I think I get that. I think there's the
Yeah.
counterpoint to that, right? Which is back in the day when I was doing this, we started from effectively kind of tight contracts. We started from strict data models, right? That you would have to adhere to.
Yeah.
And so for me, the fact that the kind of the foundation really was your data model, right? And what actually it is you're doing. And then from there, everything else. So that's, I guess, the reason why I've typically started the back end first, right? Because basically you build an understanding of what you want, and then you make those APIs available for anything that wants to consume them,
Yeah.
whether it's an API command line tool or a front end, right? But again, this is different. I've never done a game before, so maybe games are completely different.
From my perspective, here's what I think, and that's why it's important that we go with the front end first. I come from the perspective of I have an idea, I need to go to market fast, and I need to convince people that it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
How will I convince them? At the end of the day, no one, like none of the users or let's say investors are not going to go down and sit and take a look at your backend. They want to see some nice front end and
So
so on.
true. So true. As
But
beautiful
that
as it
being
is,
said,
right? As
yeah,
beautiful as it's
exactly.
crafted, as resilient as it is, no one cares, right? If customers can't get onto it and see it and touch it and love it. So you've convinced me, front end all the way now.
Yeah. One thing that is really important though, as we move forward, you and I we will have to agree on, of course, the contracts, like the data models, what are they going to have? Because I cannot just, so we will be doing a lot of vibe coding. We will be doing a lot of real coding as well. But the most important thing to understand is that we will be doing it in pair. So every decision goes in alignment with what we want to build. We will do things more like granularly, so we will move fast and we will build pieces as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That
And
being
actually,
said,
we did
like,
touch on this just on the last episode, actually, and that the
yeah,
importance of vibe coding in this scenario
exactly.
is not to necessarily finish with finished code or code that actually will end up in production. It's more so that you can actually explore the space, understand what it is you're building, and catch some of those unknown notes. So those known or unknown unknowns. And we talked
Yes.
about actually in the context of this book, all right? This book, the Makara Works, the
I,
philosophy of
I
software
ordered it
design.
yesterday, by the way. I
You
ordered it
ordered it,
yesterday.
right?
Yeah,
So
I couldn't stop
it's a
myself.
great book. Now, the book, there's a chapter in there which basically says you write some software, the first version of everything you write down should be thrown away. Now, it's really interesting because throughout my life, without realizing it, we've all been in a situation where we've written something and then, oh dear, I've lost it. I can't find the source code. And you've had to
Yeah.
redo it. And actually, you know what? The second version was always, oh, that's much better because you still got the knowledge and learning from the first time. And so I think what vibe coding does, maybe unintentionally, is it actually enables that as a superpower.
Yeah.
I encourage people to go from intent to vibe and use the vibe to explore the space, get an even deeper understanding of what you're doing before you then go, right, now we know what we want to build. Let's start writing these specs, these requirement documents to then build our proper production grade application.
Yeah. One thing that is really important and really valuable is I think vibe coding, willingly or not, like involuntarily, it actually pushes you to move away from the waterfall approach and go with the simple stuff like even Scrum and so on, like thinking first building your MVP, then how you can do it better because it builds you something and you're like, yeah, this is what I want, but it isn't. So
Yeah.
let me see what I can do better. And it actually pushes you to get better and move forward as well. I really like this approach because I think it is very valuable and important because when we have idea, we are really excited and eager. And especially if you watch like TV series, I don't know, Silicon Valley, which I rewatch
Oh,
nowadays,
yeah.
that
Best show
is still,
ever. If you
yeah,
haven't watched
exactly.
it, then you have to watch it. All series. It's just incredible.
Exactly. So that's why right now, I think it's really important to keep ourselves in the realistic pace. We have to understand that we will need time to build something. We want to move fast. We both want to move fast as well. We were talking about this. Like, only thing that we talked about this project is we want to build this thing fast so
You need it
people can
quickly.
use it. Exactly.
Right.
So
Okay, so enough
that-
talk. Let's start the front end then. Let's show us the way, Salih.
All right. So first thing that right now, what I do is I will log into Kiro. Kiro, you can see it from our logo on the screen as well. It's our favorite IDE. And we will log in and basically use this application. You can log in with your identity center. You can go with Google, GitHub, whatever you want. Also a build ID as well. We have a free tier too. And you can check out, we also have a QR code as well, right? Like we have the link, we have the QR code and everything that you can check out. We will be using this the entire time. In the meantime, I will just log in really quickly with my org ID. I have an account that I have created from my AWS account, so I will just log in with that one. Right now, my Mozilla is acting up, so I will just try this with Google.
Always the way when it's live. But yeah, so we shared the links. If you want to download Kiro, the ID, this is the tool that Sally's going to be using. There's also a terminal-based version. We're not going to be covering that, I don't think, yet anyway. So you can download it. And then as Sally showed, you can either use GitHub, your Google account, or you can sign up for a Builder ID. And when you register the first time, you get a bunch of Kiro credits, which then I think they recycle every month. So yeah. So that's what Sally's effectively doing. He's just already running, is now logging in.
Yes. I will.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Right now, I logged in with my personal account. Instead, I use the social sign-in. And with the social sign-in, you get 500 credits. I think we are good for this episode with the 500 credits.
So that's a good segue, right? So this is the front screen, right? So if you're conscious about credits, okay, Sally, click on the Claude Opus 4.5.
Yes.
Because
there we go.
This, you can see here, you can see a number of different credits. So I like to stick on auto. When I'm vibing, I stick on auto to optimize the number of credits I use. If I'm doing something really simple, I might even go to Haiku, which is even simpler. But auto, what I like about auto is it will try and figure out what the best model to use based on what you're actually trying to do.
Yeah. I'm a bit of an non-frugal person. So I just use the model that I like the most. So it's up to you. Or like in Turkish, we say every person has a different way of eating yogurt. So it's up to you to decide how you want to do it. But we have 4.5 Haiku, Sonnet, and Sonnet 4.5 for the free tier. When you go pro, you will get Opus and so on. But let's go with Sonnet 4.5 right now. Or
yeah, 4.5. That's a good solid choice.
All right. So I want to take us through the Kiro first before we move forward. When we move forward, we will do this Kiro introduction once. We don't want to do this constantly, but you have to understand what tool are you using. Kiro is an agentic IDE, so it has AI agents that would automate some tasks for you that you ask. You can do it in two different ways. We will use Vibe because of the reasons that we explained. Maybe I will share that later on as a clip, Ricardo, so people can actually go through it as well. And the spec mode is more planned, more, I have everything in place. Let's build this one by one approach. It creates requirement, tasks, and design decisions for you directly. And Kiro, like many other IDEs, it supports agent hooks that you can automate some tasks. We have MCP servers as well. I want to move the MCP server up because it's more important. I have a few that I
have. You have a lot. You have a lot.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I do. I do have this one. I don't need it actually. I can.
So I tell you what, Sally, when I'm using Kiro, okay, I will typically have all my MCP servers disabled. And I tell you why, because you've got to be careful. As good and amazing as they are at providing you with really useful context, they can chew through your context windows, right? So you've got to be super, super careful with them, just in case you're following along. MCP servers are awesome, but use them wisely.
Yeah, exactly. I never do this in the full trust mode. But whatever call that I have to the MCP servers, they always go through me because sometimes I know the answer, but it wants to go and call the MCP